I am going live because in my past post, I went ahead and I discussed the fivefold and a lot of the approaches when it comes to mentorship, consulting, coaching. And I was asked some questions about, and I did tag some of you guys. So I wanted to just get straight to it. The differences between the coaching and consulting. Let me just say this first of all. My name is Tanya Tenica. If this is your first time watching me, I have been in business and ministry for over 20 years, and I've gone on this amazing journey, I guess you can say. And so I'm going to just share with you that many times individuals think that owning a Christian business, that they don't do the same things or the same strategies or however, or that they represent something different in the sense of, how would I put it? They are not, that they have to cater to believers. That is just not true. Okay, there is no such thing, I don't look at it as a Christian business. There is a Christian believer kingdom, however you want to call it, individual that runs an organization. And that could be towards believers or non-believers. So I just want to put that up in the forefront, because the one thing that I noticed is individuals will come to me and they'll say, you know, I'm going to speak to just women or just believers. And they feel obligated to do that, one, because they're a woman, or two, they feel obligated to do that because they're a believer in Jesus Christ. And that is the farthest from the truth. You know, you have 7 areas of influence that I do speak about further in the Kingdom coaching certification. And so, you know, that's a little bit of an eye-opener when you're taking a look at how you operate. So, anywho, let's go ahead and get into this, right? So I'm going to address 2 aspects of this, and you guys can comment below. Hey, good morning. How are you, Rebecca? What's happening? All right, so I'm going to get to it. Go ahead, tag your friends, all that good jazz. I can't even see who's watching. Kind of weird. You know, they're always changing everything. But let's go. All right, so consulting. First, I'm going to talk about what a consultant is versus a coach, and we're going to go back and forth. And then I want to talk about the fivefold in this area, kind of what that would look like for you. Again, you can go to IAMsocial if you want to get more information and coaching and training from me, apostolically and prophetically, on how to run your organization or launch it. All right. So, hey, Tara, make sure, please, that you ask whatever questions in the chat, even if you have to step off, so I can really go back and address those, and maybe I can do extra trainings and videos for you. All right, a consultant. A consultant is, and I wrote these down according to even the definition, looking it up and making sure that it's side by side, as well as then we're going to break it down biblically, okay? All right, so let's look at consultant. Consultant is an expert advice, okay? They're giving advice. It is an advisory, all right? A coach is a little different. They do give some advice, but I'm going to talk about, some of them overlap, but I'm going to show you the dominant areas. So the consultant is an expert or advisory. The coach is a managerial, okay? So they take you over an extended period of time. They help you manage those things in your company, all right? And they coach you through it. Imagine a football coach. They manage their health, they manage their workouts, they manage their football plays, they manage, okay? Now, then we go into developing systems for a consultant. A consultant, when you meet with them, they're going to develop your systems. But when you meet with a coach, they develop programs, okay? So when you see a consultant, they're going to be like, hey, what kind of system can I put in place that when I'm done consulting, that can really help them identify. You might even see maybe softwares. You might even see a, not necessarily a program, but more of like what I have. I have an educational vault. So when you come into I Am Institute, it's a vault of multiple courses. And when you come into the office hours, I coach you, a little bit. And then I also bring heavy consulting because, right, it's the apostolic prophetic. And then what I do is I say, go take this specific course, and you go out on your own and you take that course, and whatever questions you have, you come back. So you guys understanding? Okay. So again, your consultant is going to be advisory. Your coach is going to be managerial. Your consultant is going to be more of developing systems to make sure that those strategies can be in place and very well understood, while your coaches are going to be very focused on developing educational programs. Now, again, there's just different ways that they articulate in different components, so don't get confused that if you're a consultant, you can't make a program. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about the dominant aspects. Now let's go into, I wrote down the ones that I wanted to address. So a consultant will give you a summary, tools, and then a follow-up. So you might get an intensive, like I talked about in the apostolic, right? So apostolic prophetic, you might have like a 2 or 3 hour intensive. They'll write things out, and then they'll give you a summary, tools that you can use, maybe even connections, and then they'll follow up with you. Okay. And then they'll follow up with you. So now here we go. Let's go into the coaching side. The coaching side is going to hold you accountable. They're going to walk with you. They're going to say, they're not just going to, say, hey, here's a summary, here's tools, I'll follow up with you, or schedule another time with me and I'll just quickly follow up. It's very clear, concise, boom. Not so much. If you've noticed, when you deal with a consultant, or more of a consultant mindset, they're going to have a really in-depth analysis when you go to have an appointment with them. And you're going to be like, man, this thing is exhaustive, bro. Like, I got to do all this stuff. Yes, you do. You're going to have to fill out all these things to work with the consultant, because they're strategizing. They're not looking at your mindset and development and all the oogly googlies and you have trauma and healing and all. They're not looking at that. They're looking at the overall. They're taking the emotional attachment away from your company. Okay? They're not emotionally attached. Consultants will take a look at your numbers, your social media, and they will literally boom. And then they'll take a look, that's why it's good to have understanding on people's building styles and different personalities and how they operate. That comes when they meet with you face to face. They'll all of a sudden, they got the strategy part, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I met with the person and now I can identify who they are and how they operate. And now you get a little bit of a coaching sometimes in the consulting, because they can tweak that strategy according to personality or so on and so forth. Now, a coach, on the other hand, we talked about summaries, tools, follow-up. A coach is going to hold you accountable. They're not probably going to do a really hardcore in-depth analysis of what you are and who. They're going to learn that along the way. It's going to be more of like this relationship building. Like every time you meet with the coach, you're going to learn a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Think about a football coach again. They don't know hardly anything about you, but what they do is when they say, go ahead and, I want you to run 3 miles, and they're going to see what is their cardio. How can they operate? Is this good? Is this not? And then they're going to develop a program or strategy for that. Okay. Because let's just say your cardio is not up, or you can't do up downs, or you can't, whatever. Okay. And so is everybody, you're seeing the difference, right? It's a very, very clear difference. Okay. Now, this matters, and I'm going to talk about this right after I go over a few points. We're going to talk about the building styles and how they actually communicate, like how they're leading. This is going to be really important, because it really, as you can really identify, because they mesh very well, You can go a little bit, you can find yourself coaching 1 minute, consulting 1 minute, but you're predominantly operating in one, right? So you'll notice that when you're predominantly a coach, you won't get burned out. You can step into consulting sometimes, but you won't get burned out. If you are in consulting first, but you're really a coach, you're going to get burned out because you're going to lack relationship. And we're going to talk about more of that. All right. A consultant. A consultant is one that their individuals are very much independent. Okay. A coach, their individual, their students, their clients are actually very dependent on the coach. The consultant, not. Example, Bill Gates, Elon Musk. We're talking about all these things happening. Okay. These are individuals and they come in, maybe Oprah, whomever, right? And they're coming in and they're coming with a consultant. They don't have to work on all this other jazz and everything. They just want to know what they don't know. And then they have enough experience and strategy to put it together and carry it out. The consultant is not constantly going on them. Let's meet next week. Let me baby you. Let me, you're not dependent on me. They're very much high performers. So you don't have to, chase after these individuals. Okay. As a consultant, you might meet with them 3 or 4 times, but it might look like this. All right, I'm going to buy a package of 6 consultations with you, and I'll just book them as I need them. That type of thing. A coach, on the other hand, that student is going to need to interact with that person on a weekly basis because they need the accountability and they don't have the capacity or mindset to be able to independently work on their own. Right? So you meet with a consultant, they give you wisdom, understanding, revelation. You're like, oh my gosh, I got this. God, okay, I'm going to put this, and now I'm executing. And then you get a little like glitch and you're like, ooh, let me meet with that consultant again. Understand? The coach, on the other hand, the student's going to be like, okay, I got 1 line. I'm going to meet with you for step 2. Next week, step 3. Very much accountability. So then this comes into what we're talking about here. They're high performers. So that's that. A coach, on the other hand, is going to be very much on mindset, meaning they can't carry out a lot of what they are doing without the mindset, right? You have Tony Robbins, all those, they know the tools. They know the tools. You don't have to tell them, A, B, and C. If you say, hey, look, you're making 7 figures. I need you to get to 8 figures. Here's the strategy. As a consultant, the coach is going to have to walk you through the mindset of what it's going to take to reach that and kind of get, no. The other one, why they might get enhancements on mindset and things like that. They already have the tools. As a consultant, your students pretty much are like, they got it. They're already high performers. They already have a good foundation. They already are reading books, things like that. So you don't have to pull their teeth and convince them that business is the way to go or so on and so forth. A lot of the coaching, people are insecure. They're still in this hobby mode. There's a lot of walking them and hand holding them through accountability. Okay. Consultants, they enhance strategy, solve problems, and growth. Okay, coaches can kind of do the same thing in certain areas, they just see differently. So the coaches enhance performance. Okay, most of the time they enhance performance. So while one might say, here your Facebook ads are ABC, boom, boom, that's very consultant, strategy driven, boom, right. Your coach might then say, your content, you need to work on this part. I don't see the confidence in you. There's a different strategy. Okay. Hopefully you guys are following that flow. The consultant is speed. You meet with a consultant, you get the game plan, you're done, you execute, and it's speed. Right away. A coach, Because they didn't get the details in the beginning, because they're more relational, things like that, long-term consultants are more short-term in the sense of you don't meet with them constantly. I can have a consultant that I meet with, a few times a year or when I need them. A coach is more in depth in and out of the business. They're going to be more long-term. Okay. They're going to be more long-term. All right. So now let's get into this. Let's see. Is everybody say yes in the chat? Everybody getting this? Tag somebody. Okay. All right. Cool. Hey, Noel, what's going on? Okay, let's quickly go into the ability for them to communicate and how you're going, because I was asked, how do you structure, what does it look like to be a consultant? Well, I shared with you some of these points to be a consultant, but now let me share with you, according to the fivefold, what that looks like. And when we talk about that, it's the apostle, prophet, evangelist, teacher, pastor, okay? The apostle is going to, or apostolic, and I use them interchangeably, okay? You might have a mantle as an apostle or prophet, evangelist, teacher, meaning you hold the office of the function, you're commissioned out, or you are prophetic or apostolic. That means that you have an edge, but you don't have the mantle thereof. So, understand that. Not everybody is, commissioned out, but they operate. If you're heavily prophetic, then you're going to see that you operate in that way. Okay. Like for instance, if you are an intercessor, okay, just because you pray doesn't mean you're an intercessor. Just because you're an intercessor doesn't mean, right, that you're a prophet, right? But every prophet is an intercessor. Does that make sense? Just like not every prophet is a seer, but every seer is a prophet. Okay. So what ends up happening with this is that you could be very highly prophetic because you are, under that anointing, but you don't hold the office of, but you are an intercessor. So hopefully that, explains that part. Okay. So now let's break this down a little bit further now that we are going in here. So we're going to talk about from the apostle. The apostle is going to build from the ground up. Okay. There are very, very much reverse engineer. So can you see the consultant in that? Okay. Can you see the consultant in that? Okay. Noelle says she's following. Good. Okay. So the consultant, you can very much see that they're very much ground up strategy, reverse engineering. They're very focused on that. Now, does that not mean that when we're operating that, you see that there's some areas that somebody needs to grow in or trauma or areas of deliverance? That doesn't mean that you don't see that. And it doesn't mean that you don't address it. Okay. It doesn't. So I'm showing you the more dominant aspects. Okay. But usually what you'll find is there is like, a prophetic evangelist, right? They might be an actual evangelist, right? They might be one that holds the office of, but they have a very prophetic edge that allows them to operate very much so in the evangelism. Does that make sense? So it's like a supporting anointing or a supporting gift or a supporting function. Okay, so don't get confused. You operate more in one. This is where it's very important to identify what is your predominant operation and which one is the one that comes and undergirds that to enhance the core part. And again, we talk about this more in the I Am Institute. So now you're looking at the prophet. The prophet is one that does a lot of creation. They're very much strategy and they're creation focused. So you're going to see them, really building in this way that it's like, ooh, really fresh ideas and so on and so forth, right? The apostle's very foundational. And so what you'll see is an apostolic prophetic person very much, or an apostle prophet, very much not only creating, but then being able to see the systems and foundation that's going to be able to sustain what was created. Guys, are you following me? You might have to listen to this again and again. Do it. Do it and tag others. Very different. This is why it's so important to be able to understand these things, not only for yourself, but so that way when you are coaching and consulting, you can really identify, how you can really get them their full transformation. And again, I teach this in the Institute. Now, a pastor, okay? A pastor. So let me reverse back. An apostle builds. A prophet creates. A pastor is more of one that serves, okay? So when you're doing your coaching consulting, think about more of a servant mindset. For a pastor, they need reliability, routine, connection, okay? So they lead, right, by being involved in the process. If you take a pastor and you take them out of the process, or a pastoral person out of the process, it's not going to be good. That's why they're more coaches than consultants, because they're emotionally attached. They need to go through this process with the person because it's rewarding to them. So that's why when you put someone, that is very pastoral in a group coaching component, a lot of times they can feel less connected, and but they're worn out because they can't scale as much with one-on-one. So there's two options. You either make the price higher and you still do the one-on-ones, and you focus on how you're going to be and make some of the sessions a little bit longer so you can get past some things, or you do an intense onboarding for them, right? And then you do your group coaching, and then you might have a touch base point with them in the middle of your program that you can meet with them one-on-one as well, right? So you're not taking away the relationship part of it. And then you would definitely want to create some type of inboxing system where they can reach you, and you can, like a group component where they can reach you. And then also you'll want to make sure that your prices are high enough so that way you don't have to have as many people involved. You might want to do a workshop or a program that involves like 12 people, get that relationship building, get them into this place, and then do a continuity program afterwards that allows them to do group with some one-on-one components if they want to upgrade and have that. But at that point, you've already gotten them to that place. I'm throwing out a whole lot here, guys. Very intense, okay? Now, when you're looking at a teacher is very much detail oriented, okay? Very, very much detail oriented. So they need certainty, and they want sustainability, and they're going to be looking at not the big picture like the apostle prophet. They're not looking at the big picture. They're not reverse engineering. So if you go to somebody that is a teacher, okay, and you're looking at some kind of strategy, I promise you, they're not looking at your end result of your company of making 7 figures. No. They're looking at how are your Facebook ads working? What are the intricacies? Okay, day 1, I spent $2. That's the detail of things. So guys, when you are hiring individuals, be very careful. And then when you're telling your students to be in certain models, be very careful, because now you're taking a teacher and you're telling them they're a coach, and now you're putting them in the details of things, but you're not showing them what kind of coach or possible consultant they are, right? Because again, remember, I am a consultant to many, but I'm also a coach in certain areas, but only to high performers. The ones that don't need to be babied, like really, and I hate to say babied, but nurtured to the point where they can't sustain on their own and they're very dependent on me. That won't work. Okay? That's why I developed a hybrid program that has a lot of tutorials, a lot of programs, a lot of classes. And my students will be like, what's a master class? What's this? I'll develop a whole entire program. And then in their Q&A office hours, I'll tell them, when I'm giving strategy, prophetic words and everything, I'll tell them, hey, go take this class and answer their question. Now, whether they go and do it, that's on them. But I provided the tools. Consulting. All right. Lastly, tell me, guys, if this is really helping you. I'm going to leave this up. Normally, I take these down. Okay, normally I take these down, but I wanted to make sure the ones that really wanted this or to tag others that they could do that. The next one is evangelist. Okay, the evangelistic or evangelist. This is, we've talked about the apostle that builds, the creator. Okay, that's the prophet. The one that serves is the pastor. The one that's detailed is the teacher. And now the one that connects is the evangelist. Okay, now they need communication. Okay, they have to have communication, they have to have relationships, and they have to be able to encourage others. So these are those coaches that might be a fitness coach. They'll be a fitness coach because they can encourage, they can exhort, they can communicate. They love that. But once they reach the goal, they can, say, okay, you've accomplished this. You've gotten to this point. Does this make sense? And so it's very powerful, right? It's very powerful to understand, where you are at in this process. Now, if you have any questions, I will come back here for the next few days and answer these questions. Okay? So go ahead and put questions that you may have in the chat. If I can answer them, typing, I will. If I have to, in turn, just create another video, I'll do the same too. Okay? So, does that help? Does that help? I'm going to take a look at the chat. Let me make sure that I answered all of these questions if I have them. Okay, so good morning, Rebecca. Miss you too. What's up, Tara? Hey, Noelle, beautiful. You the bomb too, girl. You the bomb too. Guys, if you are doing live events, go ahead. There's Noelle in the chat. There's Noelle in the chat. Just like message her, tag her, whatever. And there's Charlene as well. They're a tag team duo. They're freaking amazing. They actually, hold on, I got to close some of these chats. Some of these things here so the live stream can flow a little bit. Okay. So they help you with your live events and getting those things together, their live launches and all that good stuff. Really amazing individuals. And they are an apostle prophet duo. So that is really freaking awesome. Thank you. You the bomb. Okay. Lauren, love you. Yes, a coach is managerial. What is up, Samson? Okay, do I have any questions? Okay, each one seems to have a role in each level of growth. Yes. Oh, you got it, Rebecca. Yes. Each one, similar to educators, kindergarten teachers, operators. Yes, 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 yes. This is why what I call it is an activator. So I'm an activator. Okay. Can I coach? Absolutely, I can coach. But I am an activator. I coach high performers, but I'm more of that consultant, which is more of an activator. I give advice, strategy, foundation, so on and so forth, right? I operate as an apostle prophet, right? And so, when you operate apostolically, prophetically, I've just talked about it. It's really ground up, focus, creation, but I do have a strong teacher component just the same. You just got to, follow along. I break the systems down and I do like details. Now here is where it can be a little for both sides. When I'm in a part of ground up building, I tend to like details a lot. Okay. I will get hardcore into details because I'm really taking a look at some things and intricacies. But that doesn't mean I can be there for long. I cannot be in the detail area for long, but I can be there in the beginning stages. That's why some people, their stages might last a couple months and God gives you the mercy and the grace to last for that long. And then you're just like, oh, I'm building my business off of this. And it's like, no, don't do that because you're building it off of what's needed at the moment, the sustainability for that moment as you're growing. And you think that it's one thing and it's not. That's why it's important to identify, right? So I can tell when I'm in the detailed season, I can tell I'm building from the ground up and I'm reverse engineering. And so for me, I know I'm not going to stay there long, but I can recognize where I'm at, which means that when I'm in that place, because it's not really a sustainable place for me to be in, I actually, when I'm building, think about this, guys, when I am building, I rest more. When I'm not building, I don't need a lot more of the rest. Because what happens is I'm in this detailed stage that takes a little bit more out of me because I can be in there and graced, but for just a moment. I hope this right here will help you guys and break you free. Listen to this on replay. I swear, I'm going to challenge you guys. I'm going to challenge you guys. I might even have a gift for you. I don't know. If I see that you watch the replay again and the hashtag replay, I want to see that you guys listen to this again. It's only a quick 30 minutes, I tell you, but it will transform everything. Okay? Yes, understanding. Yes, Rebecca, understanding where you are in your business journey will help you find the kind of support. So I'm an activator, but I also have a coach, right? So I have another activator and then I have a coach. You see how that works? So you need two. That's why some will have mindset coaches and individuals that help them coach in a certain point, and then they have a strategist or one that helps them carry out the functions in business. They separate the two because they're both doing something different. They both apply something different. Okay? Like I do mindset, but I do it very different. Like I might give you some resources. I might not walk you through and every single aspect, but I might give you some resources as to good mindset, some habits that you can do. But I'm not going to check on you to say, hey, you know, did you do this? Did you wake up this morning? And every day send you a text and all that. No, but as a consultant, I might get a system together that says, hey, do this. Make sense? Sense. All right. Let me know if I've helped you guys in the chat. I will definitely come back here for all of the replays and for making sure that you guys have all this. Again, I put a lot of this, if not all, and I coach this way and show you how to do this just the same. Once you get understanding of the tools, you'll be able to identify these individuals as well. Okay? All right. I love each and every one of you guys, and definitely make sure that you go to I Am Institute. I'm loading all the courses up, getting all this going, and so very happy to interact with you on the platform. All right. See ya. Don't forget to put your questions in the chat.